Forget Google, Facebook, and the social dilemma. This company is the new Godfather. Spoiler alert, I'm about to ruin the ending of The Godfather. If you haven't seen it by now, go ahead and skip to the next section. Still with me? Okay. One of the greatest scenes in cinematography history occurs at the end of Godfather. The patriarch leader of the Corleone crime family passes away, leaving the family business to his innocent, good-hearted son Michael. While Michael attends the christening of his nephew, his goons carry out his plot to execute not one, not two, but all 5 of the other New York crime families, at the same exact moment. Michael, who throughout the movie had been viewed as an even-tempered protagonist, had a thirst for domination inside of him so strong that he had his competition murdered while he was quite literally renouncing the devil. When The Godfather gets a reboot for the modern era, it will look a little different. Don Corleone will become Steve Jobs, Michael Corleone will become Tim Cook. The other New York crime families will be replaced by Silicon Valley titans, with Google Alphabet CEO Sundar Pichai cast as Corleone's arch-rival Emilio Bassini. And instead of a christening, the backdrop of the final scene will take place during a federal antitrust hearing against the companies who have collected our personal data. As America continues to sit front row to the spectacle that is the 2020 election, Apple is alone at the altar of consumer privacy, renouncing the devil. Sure, they might get a government slap on the wrist for exploiting app developers by demanding 30% of every in-app good, but nobody's perfect. They will gladly take the high road and concede that measly $18 billion in revenue it made them in 2019, as long as they can eliminate their largest Silicon Valley rivals across various industries and become the focal point of the nearly $500 billion industry: digital advertising. If you've learned one thing from watching The Social Dilemma, it's that online privacy is an oxymoron. Big tech uses your geographic location, personal relationships, and shopping patterns to predict how, when, and where to best advertise you. So who is going to solve the privacy dilemma? Enter Apple. Apple's most recent ad, titled Privacy, that's iPhone, is the latest in a series of marketing moves that they have been taking to be the perceived privacy purveyor of the public. The title is well deserved too. Over the years, iPhones have earned their reputation for privacy. So it makes sense in the name of privacy, Apple is planning a coup de grace for their Silicon Valley rivals. The easiest competition for Apple to whack will be social media companies. Over a highly polarized last half-decade, the court of public approval has slowly come to a verdict on what is dividing us. So, we will applaud Apple when they institute advanced privacy measures early next year that cripple the main user data source behind all of these social media companies' machine learning algorithms. Apple announced that they will be removing in-app tracking from all apps unless specifically opted in by users, which is a less than likely scenario. Because the companies have virtually no hardware to rely on for other sources of data, their algorithms over time will fail. Hurting social media companies doesn't make Apple money, so why bother? Well, there is an alternate reality to the scenario above that seems more likely, one which makes Apple money. Aside from virtually destroying social media's ad tracking, the iOS 14 updates instituted one addition that you may have seen: Sign in with Apple. With the click of a button, users can now log into apps using their Apple IDs in exchange for sharing all of that in-app data with Apple. After all, why should Apple bother with creating new apps to collect different data points when they can leech the data through a sign-in button? You know, for your privacy. Rather than kill off the social media companies, Apple most likely realizes that they can profit more with their victims alive. By playing gatekeeper to these social media companies' data sources, they can effectively hold the largest social media companies in the world hostage by becoming the main source of those companies' data. Rather than Facebook tracking your data across the web, Apple will most likely work out a deal where they will pass back bits of data to them at a hefty price. In other words, sorry Facebook, the data on your app is mine now, but I'll sell it back to you. Similar to how Apple will hold the social media industry's data ransom, The most likely scenario is for Apple to disrupt display, programmatic, and streaming industries by not passing back in-app consumer data to the publishers like Google, Spotify, and YouTube. Instead, they will offer consumers a secure sign-in with Apple, only to turn around and somehow pass the same in-app data back to publishers, but packaged differently. With data encryption getting more advanced over the last decade, the traditional mobile tracking identifier used by advertisers was on its last legs. Having clearly lost favorability with Apple since its creation, I expect Apple will want to replace this with technology adopted from another product they already have, Apple Pay. Experiment. Take out your iPhone. Go to Settings, then click General. Then About and scroll to the bottom. You'll see a 14-digit MEID number, which is your IDFA until it resets. Now click SEID. You'll see a much longer code containing both numbers and letters. This is your Secure Element Identifier, which is used for the most secure transactions such as Apple Pay. As a consumer, if you had to choose a password to keep your phone safe from hackers, would you choose the MEID number or your SEID code? This is the logic Apple will use to explain to advertisers and consumers alike why they are selling back advertisers the data from their in-app ads. Yes, that ID is significantly harder to hack. That's why it's used for your credit card transactions. Do I as a consumer want that same number to be used for my secure purchases and the storage for all my online data? Probably not. As with social media, there is an alternative scenario to the one just posed. However, this one really scares me. Currently, your cell phone is traceable on your location within 20 feet. That 20 feet could make the difference to an advertiser looking to target people inside of stores. According to an August 8, 2019 patent filed by Apple, they just fixed that problem. Using satellite data paired with machine learning, it seems that iPhones will soon have the most advanced geo-tracking in the world. Why would Apple care to fix this 20 feet discrepancy? Is it for their maps? Is it to sell this data back to advertisers? Or is it to replace the entire geo-targeting industry with their supposedly more private and more accurate data? Keep listening. If Apple had a nemesis, it would be Google. No other American company is as much of a threat to the overall quest for data supremacy as Google, with their highly diversified portfolio. It sure seems to me that Michael Corleone is using the antitrust case as the moment where he takes out Barzini. This is where they attempt to take out Google's core business, the search engine. 9 years ago, Apple launched Siri, which sparked a new way to collect user data. Rather than learning users' thoughts through typing, you could collect their speech patterns, dialects, and unfiltered thoughts. Since then, various other voice recognition products have debuted, like Amazon Alexa and Google Home, but none have such a commanding market share as Apple does with smartphones. Tech companies clearly see this data as extremely valuable, even enough to sometimes accidentally record us when we do not prompt them. Ever have a conversation about a specific topic within earshot of your phone, only to later have an ad served to you about that very same topic? Perhaps this decade of data paired with the recent antitrust cases facing Google search engine practices was enough to make Apple to want to create their own search engine. While not officially announced, more than a decade of pieces have been put in place. Apple has been pouring money into hiring search engineers with backgrounds in artificial intelligence and machine learning. Siri now skips Google results by providing Spotlight search results. But most tellingly, Apple's bots have begun crawling websites at a much more rapid rate, which is exactly how Google keeps its search results relevant and up to date. To put it into perspective, it's as if Apple has built a car manufacturing plant, bought all the parts needed, hired the workers, started test driving cars, but has not yet announced that they were building cars. Look out, Ford. In the 1974 sequel to The Godfather, Michael Corleone draws upon his inner Sun Tzu when he says, "Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer." For over a decade, the iPhone has been the contributing factor behind the success of companies like Facebook, Spotify, Instagram, TikTok, and yes, Google. These most recent power moves being orchestrated with the backdrop of international antitrust lawsuits shows that Apple has always taken this quote seriously. The iPhone has always been the main conduit to which the Facebooks and Googles had access to your data. The iPhone has always been the gatekeeper of your most personal information. From credit cards to nude photos, the iPhone has seen it all. Does it surprise us that Apple was aware of their sleeping giant the whole time? Does it surprise us that the supplier of the medium for companies to sell us back our data would later sell those companies back their data? Like a junkie looking for a fix, these smaller billion-dollar corporations relied on Apple's devices to relay our data to prevent algorithm withdrawal. There is no good outcome here. From my perspective, the social dilemma is just as dangerous when our data is placed in the hands of one seemingly benevolent capitalist organization as it is spread out amongst 5 or 10 smaller organizations. The end goal of Apple or any Silicon Valley company for possessing such data is not to sell you stuff. That is a means to the end, like how Elon Musk sells electric vehicles to fund his dreams of going to Mars. The end goal is to control the way the world will be shaped. In 2017, Russian President Vladimir Putin said the quiet part out loud. The path that Apple knows, the path that Google knows. Artificial intelligence is the future, not only for Russia, but for all humankind. Whoever becomes the leader in this sphere will become the ruler of the world.